How we doing, guys? Lost Slurper here, and today we are going to discuss the UFC Saudi Arabia main card. Now, let's get right into it. It was a very exciting card with a lot of unexpected results, to say the least. I'm just going to go over the main card in this video since that's what I'm the most interested in. So let's hop right into the Johnny Walker versus Volkan Ozdemir fight. Now, this fight turned out pretty much exactly how I predicted it. Volkan Ozdemir clean, straight punches down the pipe, and Johnny Walker just not using his range whatsoever, walking right into the punches, and I knew he was going to get turned into a floaty again. It was pretty expected that he was going to have a pretty embarrassing knockout, so this fight played out pretty much as most people expected. He got caught down the pipe trying to throw some funny shit. His coaches don't know how to teach him a basic jab cross, and he's just not able to measure distance well and see the punches coming, so he gets caught, turned into a meme. Next fight. Now we have Shara Magomedov versus Antonio Tricoli, and this was a very disappointing fight for most fans because although Shara won by TKO, we all wanted him to, it's not the most impressive performance. He got hurt. I wouldn't say hurt, but he got struck pretty bad that first round and held up against the cage. As always, his kicks are beautiful to watch, but Antonio was outlanding him, and then he was just hugging him up against the cage, which we all hate to see when we're watching the UFC. But second round, Shara with a blatant cage grab, he was completely about to be taken down. His knee was being stepped behind. He was going to be dragged to the ground, and Mark Goddard is just the most inconsistent referee. He decides to be harsh on the rules when he wants to, but in this case, he really just let that one go. Even the commentators were complaining about how bad that cage grab was, so it was pretty sad to see from Mark Goddard. And the fact that Antonio Tricoli, a guy who mainly does striking martial arts and barely competes in MMA comparatively to him competing in stuff like karate and kickboxing, lose to Shara in a fashion like that, it's kind of sad. You thought that Shara would have had the edge in his grappling, especially since he always competes in his jiu-jitsu tournaments, but not a good look for Shara, not looking like he's going to handle the top 10, maybe even the top 15 of the division well. But either way, he won by a finish, so I guess that's good. Then we have Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, here's another fight that I picked right. I picked the underdog in Daniel Rodriguez. I think he was just going to be a little too sharp on Kelvin in the striking. Here's a fight I was wrong about. Daniel Rodriguez versus Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum showed to still have that dog in him, outstruck Daniel Rodriguez, kept it competitive, and he just kind of outworked Daniel a little bit, showed his experience, showed that old Mexican heart that he used to have in some of his fights. So good to see that from Kelvin, good to see him fired up. Weight issues he has isn't good, but I hope he does something. I don't really see him getting past top 15 into the top 10 of welterweight, but we'll see how he does later in his career. And Daniel Rodriguez, once a prospect, just has a hard time winning some of his closer fights, so sad to see for him, but good for Kelvin Gastelum. Then we have a fight I'm super happy about. Alecander Volkov winning a decision against Sergei. I called this fight. Sergei was always dangerous. These guys are best friends and training partners, but I thought that Alecander Volkov was the more nuanced striker. He'd be able to keep his distance, outpoint him, outstrike him, be the more active fighter in there, and that's pretty much what happened. He chopped away with the kicks, he landed more punches, and even though he took some good jabs, straight crosses to the face, it definitely impacted him. You could see on his face his nose was bleeding, but he won the fight clearly, so great for Alecander Volkov. Super happy to see. I want to see him in the top 5. I want to see him versus Tom Aspinall. That would be such a great fight. They should be fighting for the championship, but whatever. Anyways, him versus whoever wins against Aspinall and Curtis Blades, which I do think will be Aspinall, should be the next fight. So great win for Alecander Volkov, tough loss for Sergei, but let's move on to the final. The Reaper, Robert Whittaker, absolutely runs through Ikram Aliskerov. And I mean, if you weren't a Dagestani rider, then I think this was a pretty expected outcome. Maybe not the brutal finish. Robert did, but he's been looking a lot more aggressive later on in his career. He's looked sharp, he looks like he's well put together, and he's really making a name for himself more as an aggressive fighter instead of the cerebral one he once was, which I like to see because he's always a guy who's had terrific striking, who I feel like lets wins get away from him sometimes. So it's nice to see that he actually went for this fight. So super proud of him. Ikram, he still got places to go, but I think it was clear he was not ready. He could still be a top 15 fighter, I could see it, but he's got work to do. It was a good chance for him to fight someone at this high of a level because he only gets to fight people like Warlley Alves, who he just runs through. So I think this will be good. He'll learn from this. He's still got time. And one more for the Reaper. Super excited. But if you guys enjoyed this video, I'm trying to build this channel, so drop a like, comment for the algorithm, and help me grow this channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.